Good morning. It's Wednesday. It is a wet, gloomy, rainy Wednesday. Um, which is kind of it's a delight to see the rain and whatnot because with rain there's a renewal in the ecosystem. Everything gets watered and refreshed. Excuse me, my eyes started watering. I don't know why. Okay, there it goes. I think I got a hair or something in there as I took off my glasses. Um, There's a good thing and a bad thing about rain. The good thing is the fact that it renews things, it refreshes the environment, it gives much needed water to the environment, to plants, to the animals, to us. Um, but the bad thing is the chance of too much rain can cause flooding and erosion and damage of one form or another. Take, for instance, my store. My store, when they built it, they weren't thinking that well. Um, it's built in a location where water runs downhill. Well, over time, what happens is any foundation for any building, um, the building starts to get holes and leaks in the foundation. If you're thinking what I'm about ready to say, you've got it. Flooded inside the store. So the back of my store is where the one room is a machine room, which has got all the pumps and whatnot for the various pieces of equipment. It's got the electrical components, got all that. Luckily, all most of that is up off the ground, so that won't short out or anything like that unless it really, really gets bad, which I hope it doesn't get that bad. Then part of our part of the workstation, basically the sub shop where we make our subs and salads. Um, which has got water. It had water all over the floor last night, and our walk-in cooler where our soda and our cold stuff is basically stored. That got flooded, and then of course the beer cave area where we have our cold beers and whatnot is flooded, and the other back room, which is where the our washer and dryer is for the store, flooded. Of course, that started happening around 8 p.m. last night. 8:30, somewhere around there. Of course, we gave the supervisor a call, and she was like, "Well, try to fix it." We don't have enough mops or towels or anything like that to fix the problem. So we tried to do what we could before we left the store, and I was just kind of like, "Yeah, this is like throwing a band-aid on a leaky dam." Because by the time they come in 6 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be as bad, if not worse, than the way we left it, basically. So I'm just kind of like, best case scenario, the store will be closed for the day. Worst case scenario is, yeah, skating rink. So, but that's the nature of the beast because my aunt and uncle who live out in Ohio, who live in a historically plaqued cabin that's been around for, I don't know, since America was still British control. I don't know. I don't know exactly how old the cabin is, but they can't live there no more because one of the retaining walls, or one of the walls in the basement, which was cracking and they thought they had it fixed, finally collapsed. So they had a mudslide into the basement. The wall is unstable, so they have to get jacks to jack it up. And I don't know if they're going to be responsible to fix it or not because it's a historical site or what. But my uncle said that the estimate they had basically is gonna basically suck up all their savings. So yeah, they not only have to find another place to live, but they got to repair this house, this historical house, which I think, I'm not positive, but I think they might be able to make an appeal to the historical, I can't even say my word now, historical society, to help them basically pay for whatever repairs needs to be done. I'm hoping and praying that they can get it done and have assistance getting it done, so it's not taking up all their savings and retirement income. My Uncle Dave is late 70s. His sister and Sue is almost 80. So yeah, he has to be in his mid 70s. Mom's in her early 70s. They're all within a 10-year span of each other. Well, not that, not 10 years. They all were basically, Sue's the oldest, Dave's the middle, my mom is the baby of the family, and they were born within a couple of years of each other. So, like, if mom's in her early 70s, Sue is in her late 70s, almost 80, and Uncle Dave is somewhere in between. That's all I can tell you. But yeah, I woke up this morning, my usual time, and it's raining outside. I looked at the weather information, and it's been raining on and off all night, which means the store has probably got pretty good, probably got pretty flooded. Now I know I did my best to clean up the store last night, so I'm hoping the only complaint she has when she comes in is the fact that it flooded, which we can't control that, even though she might think she could. But all in all, last night was a good day. I mean, I had the headache of people coming in with wet feet after I mopped the floor, and I had to remop the floor, and just things that are out of my control, and the only thing I can do is just try to keep the store cleaned. So that brings us to the end of that little I was about to say expo, but there's no show. Excuse me. Which brings me to my Bible study this morning. Now it's interesting because the title of that particular one was called Access to God. If you choose to read this, it's up to you, but it's 1 John 5:6-15. It also has a little tidbit there from Hebrews 4:16. But anyhow, the gentleman, the gentleman who wrote this morning was talking about how how technology is a blessing. Yes and no. Technology is a blessing because of the fact that we have access to all kinds of information. Questions about our health, questions about whatever. You can find it on the web. And basically, sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. Basically, he goes to talk about how access to God is as simple and quick as access to information on the internet. Just a simple, we've got the Bible. There's all our information that we need. Well, all our information available to us about God is in the Bible. Information we need about worship, prayer, giving, forgiving, how to deal with stress, it's in there. It's literally, back to my Bible, and I'm not trying to convince you to go out and get this Bible, because there's a men's and women's edition to this everyday or every man's Bible. There's an every woman's Bible as well. I actually looked that up. But if you go to the back of most Bibles, um, there's a index in here. Men, Women, and God index. And it literally goes through and tells, you know, tells you what book, verse, and or what book, chapter, and verse to go to look up, certain titles or certain pieces of information, and then it goes. Okay, these are just different people who. Okay, go to pre. I'm sorry, I'm trying to. I haven't looked in the back list of book in a long time. I call it a book. But it's like different things from index on, spotlight index, what the Bible has to say index, and it gives you different, like, marriage, page number, in laws, page number. So, I mean, it's like you can find all kinds of information for various tidbits of life, or you might have a problem with, like, how do I deal with, let's go look it up in the Bible. It might not tell you how to make a cabinet. It might not tell you how to build or repair a car. But when it comes to life things, yeah, you can find it in the Bible when it comes to life. I mean, anything else is not as important. I mean, yeah, it might be important to go fix your car because you need to get to work, but it's there's books for that. I mean, but the Bible is one of the, I say, top 5, if not top 2, important books in life. What the other ones are, don't ask me because I really wouldn't be able to tell you. But yeah, it's one of the top, or I should say, the top. I'm pretty sure a lot of you would agree with me that the Bible is the top book to read. It is probably the most read book globally, or within the Christian nation. I don't know about any of the other religious groups. I mean, I'm pretty sure their holy book is one of their top read books, but for the most part, the Bible is probably one of the most read books I've ever heard of. Um, excuse me. Oh, woke up this morning and I got my usual messages and whatnot about the weather and local events and all that fun jazz. Um, but I got another person who chimed out where they're from. Didn't say exactly where, and of course, I don't ask for your state location. I ask more for your state location. Um, in fact, I don't think anybody said anything about their town location. But this morning, Iowa chimed in. Morning. Um, my excuse me. My sinuses and chest issues are as normal, progressively getting more irritating, um, which is basically how it goes for me naturally. It goes from sinuses to throat to chest, which is anybody who's got allergies with seasonal bronchitis. The seasonal bronchitis is basically caused by the allergies. If you're in medicine or no medication or not medication, if you know how the body can function, sometimes you get a sinus issue, whether it's allergies or just um, for lack of better words, a nose cold. Um, it sometimes gets to the back of your throat, which gets into your chest, which causes the cough. That's basically the same thing with seasonal allergies with bronchitis. It becomes, sorry, my nose is itchy. It becomes a sinus problem first because you breathe in the allergens and your nose kind of goes, nope, we got to block that. And it becomes bronchial. If for some reason it feels like it gets worse, or it feels like it's becoming something more than just a postnasal problem, that's when I usually go see the doctor, because it could be an actual virus or bug or something I need to take anti yeah, antibiotics or something like that, because my body is having difficulty fighting it off, which it's a rarity. It's happened. You know, I think the last time I had to go to the doctor for antibiotics, because it became something more than just a seasonal thing, was 2010, 2011, somewhere around there, before Hurricane Sandy. So if that says anything about the resilience of my body, I'm not saying I'm some sort of freak of nature or whatnot. It's just I have a stronger immune system than the average person, according to my doctors, which is good for me, bad for other reasons. Um, I don't have the same issues my dad did with diabetes. Knock on wood. Um, Even though that there have been one or two instances, I have this weird system where I can go and do a blood test, and they go, "Oh, you're hyperglycemic," and then I go in and do a blood test next time around, and they go, "Oh, no, no, you're all right, you're fine, don't have any. I might have a couple precursors or whatnot to possible high blood pressure and diabetes and what all the fun genetic stuff that is in my system that my father had trouble with." And according to family history, aunt, uncle, cousins, people who, like my uncle Tom, which I think I talked to him about once. He passed away because of a heart attack. Now, excuse me, all his children, except for one, my cousin Debbie, I think she has diabetes. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to her in a while, but um, I've heard tidbits from her sister who lives in the same area. But all the boys, Matthew, Mark, Luke, yes, I have cousins named after biblical characters. Um, the three boys don't have any health issues that our parents had. Um, the only health issues that I should say, that my dad had is the bronchial problems. Possible high blood pressure, possible hyperglycemia. Um, so you know, I'm doing good. Uh, what did I want to touch base on? I forgot now. Sorry. Oh, yes, I do worry about mom's health because she's a smoker, but so is her mom. Um, but other than her usual moodiness. She's still doing pretty good. I do worry about her because of all the smoking and the fact that we haven't had as many days this year as we did last year to have the house open up to basically air out the house. Joanne and I did notice yesterday when we were doing some minor cleaning that one of the boxes that is in the cabinets right outside this room in the eat-in kitchen, the white cloth is starting to turn yellow, which is an indicator of how bad the nicotine and whatnot in the air is. So I'm now concerned not only for Mom's health, but my health because I have breathing problems. Jerry's health because she's at the house more than I am, so she's more exposed than I am. And secondhand smoke is a big killer. It's worse than firsthand smoke. And I'm pretty sure anybody who's either had friends, family members, or knows somebody who's either been a smoker, been around smokers, coal miners. Coal miners, granted nowadays coal miners have safety equipment to help protect their lungs, but black lung, which is something that coal miners used to get a lot from breathing in the coal dust. If you have any family members or a history of family members who worked in coal mine back in the day before all this modern day safety equipment, you know what I'm talking about. I'm switching over to a quick drink for a soda because I'm out of tea, or almost out of tea. But I feel that as long as as long as we can clean up clear out the house every so often and whatnot, it should not be a major issue. There's been a couple times where I've kind of like, Mom, can you please cut back on the smoking? I know why she does it. Part of the reason why she does it is, in her mind, it helps her with stress. Well, that's the same thing for people who drink beer all the time. I'm not talking about on an occasional basis, but a lot of people who drink alcohol excessively, they're in their mind, that's basically how they cope with their stress. Not realizing sometimes that what they're doing causes other people stress. But yeah, we all manage in one way or another. Some people do things to cope with their stresses or their emotions differently. Mom is smoking. Jerry-Ann, it's a combination of either shopping, eating, that kind of stuff. Me, yeah. It's basically reading something good or playing video games. Now, I know a lot of you are probably like, you're 49, you're going on 49, and you're still playing video games. Well, like I said, it's one of my many ways of coping with stress. I don't cope with stress with alcohol. That's a rarity. Yes, I have an occasional drink of mead, but I don't drink to the point of getting drunk or stupid. I've only done that twice, 3 times at least that I can recall. 3 times. The first 2 times I was not married and I just couldn't deal with things. The first time that I can remember, and that's why I think there's only 3 times, because only 3 times I can remember. The first time, yeah, let's just say I was underage and it was left in the house. And that was after the family tragedy. And I don't dwell on it. I don't like use it for a crutch. I just remember this is how I dealt with it, and this is how I should have dealt with it, or I could have dealt with it if I had the basically, if I had the knowledge knowledge and understanding that I have now, I probably could have coped with it a little bit better. The second time was basically it was a celebration. I had turned 21, and my cousins were like, "Let's get this kid a drink and see how well he can handle it." So, hey, it's 20. You're 21. You want to do something to say, "I'm now a socially considered a man." Um, and the third time was very recent, and that was because of the fact that I was very upset. And I think I even talked about it on one of my vlogs, and of course I got a lot of backdraft on that, which I deserved. Um, I accept it when I know I deserve it. But otherwise, I don't I don't drink to the point of being a jerk. I drink for celebration. I drink for health, because if you read the Bible, Jesus even tells one of the disciples to have a glass of wine with his meal to help his indigestion, or his stomach, or whatever it was. So you can't say it's wrong, it's against the Bible, because the Bible even says have a drink once in a while, have a drink with your food. It's not like I'm sitting here downing a bottle in one sitting. I'm having a drink. So for those of you who are in that mindset where, oh, that's all wrong, that's non-Christian of you, blah blah. No, it's very Christian to have a drink. It's not exactly Christian to get so drunk you're falling down and can't function, basically. I know plenty of people who can have a shot of something hardcore and still function. That, in fact, it's kind of proven that wine, especially, I don't know about beer or any hardcore liquor, but wine has um, a lot of I can't think of the word now. It's a medical term, but there's a lot about wine that actually helps the body function. It helps the stomach with indigestion and whatnot. It actually helps cause the blood to not really get so warm that you're spiking your body, your blood pressure, or anything like that. But it has been proven to help with blood pressure. It has been proved to basically help raise the body temperature to a small degree, but a high enough degree to help with fighting off certain kinds of I don't know if they said bacteria or virus or what it was, but there's a lot of different things about wine that is actually more beneficial to the body than harmful. Now, if you're drinking something in excess, or if you're drinking more than a glass, I think what did they say, a glass a day or something like that. That's one of the reasons why at nighttime, when I'm settling down, I might have a glass of mead. I know there's a lot of people out there who, because of their religion, can't drink wine because it's a fruit of the vine, grapes. Um, if you've ever seen the movie 13th Warrior, and he talks about he can't have wine because he's offered up, basically have some wine, and he was like, no, I can't because it's fruit of the vine, and they laughed at him because up there in Norway they don't have grapes, they have honey. Mead is basically honey wine. So, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of prefer mead over regular wine unless it's a certain kind of wine or from a certain type of grape. Um, One of my favorite local wineries, which is Stonehill, um, they make a a wine. I think it's a, I haven't had it in a while, but do believe it's a white wine. It's made in the similar method of Rhine Valley, Germany, which is the valley has got wineries up and down the river. So Germany probably has as many wineries as America has breweries. I mean, I can. There's two particular wineries that actually I don't know if that one wine is made from the same company, but there's a Schwarzkatze, which is Black Cat from Zell, Germany, which was like down the hill from where we were when we were stationed in Germany. And what I mean by we is my father, me, and my mom. And then there's one that I discovered that's from Germany, but I discovered it in New York, and it's called Liebe Frau Milch, which is basically translated in English is Milk of the Virgin. So I think that's a proper translation. I had to look that one up. Um, so if you're drinking a glass for your health, that's kind of biblical. It's in the Bible, one glass, and of course, if wine was not Christian, um, why does it talk about how Jesus turned water into wine at a wedding celebration? Now, you would think if it wasn't Christian for us to have wine, why does it talk about God turning water into wine or suggesting to, was it James? It was either John or James that Jesus suggested to have, basically told to have a glass of wine with his meal for his indigestion. I don't remember which biblical character was it, James or John, but so obviously it's okay to have some wine every so often or once a day. But anyhow, oh, I don't know if you all heard this or not, but I caught wind of somebody saying that they had heard, and I'm taking this as second class information, so don't hold me to this. This is hearsay, but what I heard from this person was they had read or heard that that we might be getting a second stimulus check, and I'm like, why? I mean, is the economics so bad that we need the government to give us a second check? Which I don't. It's kind of like one of those like, give us the first check, fine and dandy. Um, then we get our income tax back. The second check, for as I'm concerned, shouldn't go to the individual person. Give it to the small business person, because the people who are running small businesses, and I'm not talking about corporations, I'm talking about mom and pops. Um, yeah, they could use the check because they're losing business because they're not a big corporation that can have um, partial openings or partial business due to all the delivery companies. And I'm like, I hope not, because it's a combination of, I don't feel that our economics are hurting so bad that we need a second stimulus check. Um, but like I said, the small businesses, the mom and pops, the companies that are basically out of business because their whole business revolves around people coming in to eat or coming in to do their business, or you know, places like Walmart, Casey's, the big corporate companies don't really need that because Walmart still has business. Casey still has business. XY, which is another gas station up the road, they're still getting business. I mean, if the government keeps on handing out free checks like they are, um, and you think our nation was in a economic rut before they started handing out stimulus checks, that second stimulus check plus the first one plus the income tax we were supposed to get back, yeah, either A, prices are going to get jacked really high, or taxes are going to get jacked really high. Something's going to get jacked. Whether it's our taxes, whether it's everyday prices, it's going to get jacked. Because unless the government can pull trillions of dollars out of their rump, um, yeah, it's, I mean, take, and I love using Norway and Europe as an example. Norway has their own airline systems, Air Norway or something like that. Norway Air. One of the, it's a it's a travel company basically. They're basically going back. They're bankrupt because there's no incoming or outgoing travel. They had to lay off pilots, flight attendants, crews galore. So they've gone bankrupt because of this pandemic situation. So if Norway, which is a small country, and I mean, from what I read and heard, their expenses are for the whole nation of Norway. It's probably about as expensive as living in L.A. or New York or even Chicago or all three cities combined. Um, Granted, their pay is also just as good as their expenses, but to lay off a whole airplane company, a whole travel company because of the crisis we're going through. How I mean, look at some of the smaller countries or smaller nations in Europe and see how they're being affected by this both economically and health wise and just in general, and just amp it up by two to four times 2 to 4. Um, we're a whole nation, and we're all affected. Just here in the states, each state is affected differently, but still in a whole, as a whole country, unless, and I don't want to see this happen because this could cause all kinds of issues, but unless each individual state or each part of the nation were to break off and form their own union, basically, to help each other out instead of as a whole, just help each other out as a state or union or whatever, to keep from going bankrupt and whatnot. I don't see how. Of course, I'm not a financial wizard. I don't know money that well. That's one of the reasons why I rely on Jerry Ann, even though sometimes I wish I didn't. I understood it better. But economics were never my strong suit. My strong suits are nature and certain kinds of earth science, certain kinds of sciences and whatnot. Um, as a country, as America, we do try to help each other out. I mean, I've seen the good and the bad of this nation. I mean, I've seen how people come together to help each other out during a flood. I mean, New Yorkers came together to help each other out during 9/11, and then they came back together to help each other out during Sandy. In fact, the whole nation came together to help New York recuperate from Sandy, just like everybody went to help out with Katrina. I use those two major hurricanes because those are two I know. Not because I went through it, I had to deal with them directly, but just because of the factor of how big they were. I mean, I've seen the West Coast come together to help each other out during forest fires, the devastating forest fires. Um, I was in I was in Arizona when the major fires happened in the Northwest and devastated large chunks of Yellowstone National Park and the various different forest preserves and whatnot in Montana, Wyoming, Washington, Oregon, that whole area. Oh, I don't forget that little peninsula of Idaho. But I've seen the good and the bad, and I hope once this pandemic basically subsides and runs its course and whatnot, that not only America as a nation, but the world as a community, a global community, comes together to help each other out. But anyhow, um, I've talked for way too long. Um, I may or may not do a video later on this evening after work, just as an update of what's been happening at my job because of the mini flood. But I have to go cook and feed this grumbling belly of mine. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, or those of you who have not chimed in your state, go ahead and put them in the comment boxes. Comment box. I will try to address them as best I can, whether I address them here on the video or in the comments. If you're new to my channel and want to hear more, give it not a thumbs up. I'm sorry, give the bell a ring. It will let you know when I put in a new video. And if you're new and want to understand more about me, you can go back to all my videos. There's a mini series of videos where I talk about my past. I ended roughly my high school era. If anybody wants to have me continue on and try to finish up that series of video, let me know and I will try to do that. Until next time, y'all be safe, have a good day, God bless, and enjoy.